Floors Plus Nixa, Floors Plus Springfield, all of your flooring needs. I was actually I didn't go in because I was doing some other things, but I always note on the front of the location in Springfield, South Campbell, and Walnut Lawn, they've got some on the front of their building there. They've got, their hours and so forth, and they're open till 6 p.m., which is very convenient for 9 to 5 folks. They also still have 0% financing going on. I believe that is for 12 months. That is something you definitely can take advantage of. So even if you've thought about perhaps new floors, whether it's luxury vinyl planking or wood floors or carpeting, or maybe the plus part of Floors Plus, you're going to have custom designed shower. And that's that 12% financing right now. Don't know how long that's going to last, but with the interest rate situation going on, probably a good idea to at least inquire about having some flooring done at this particular time. Stop by their 2 locations across from the highway in Nixa from Walmart, and then, of course, South Campbell and Walnut Lawn again in Springfield. The First Alert forecast sponsored by Navant, employee benefits that work. Today, sunny, 87 for a high, 64 for a low tonight. Sunny, 89 tomorrow. Friday, sunny with a high of 91. And on Saturday, mostly sunny. There's a slight chance of rain with a high of 90. As you know, of course, we try here as an information station to partner up with different advertisers that have goods and services that are a good match for you. We are not a station that just goes around stopping any given particular business and convincing them, oh, yeah, all radio works for everybody, no matter what the messaging is, and just paycheck to paycheck, month to month, hit that budget and get as much money rolling in as possible. We really look to find advertisers that are going to speak to you. And sometimes that is a very long journey. One of the genres, if you will, that I've long recognized we just didn't really have, we weren't serving you, is when it comes to beef, steaks, meats, and the sort of quality that is available that maybe not everyone knows about. And I know, knowing you all, and when we've had events in the past with really high-quality beef, there's been a great response, but we just haven't found the partnership with people that we felt, that one, they were wanting to do it as well, but that would serve you all until very recently. And it's been a couple months of conversations, and I want to welcome Wyatt Dill in studio with us. And let me preface this also by saying not every new advertiser we have in to talk about their industry and the goods and services that they provide. But as we were meeting and figuring out the messaging, and there's so much information when it comes to this particular industry that isn't known, I said, well, if you would, come on. And that way we can just, from the get-go, from the launch, educate KSGF listeners about what it is that you all do, and then at least we'll have that, so if people in the future, they hear the ads and they still have questions, we can refer them to the podcast. And I think we're even going to have this maybe up, or something like this up, on your all's website. So I want to welcome you. And first off, your farm, your ranch, name of it.
The name of it's 2 Bar D Beef Company.
Yes, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, we're out of Marshfield. And I do appreciate the introduction here this morning, Nick. It's an honor and a privilege to be here this morning. And I'm excited about our product. We have a really good quality product, and we put a lot of hard work into it. And it's exciting to get it in the hands of new people and see, how they like it, because it is really good. So
one of the reasons I was excited about the partnership is that there are people that, I know these people, obviously you do, and every year it seems like they'll buy half a cow or a whole cow, and they know how all that works. Then there are a lot of people that understand the concept of it. They know people who do it, but they've never done it themselves, and so they don't really. And I fall into this category. What is that like? What's that process like? And it was one of the reasons I wanted to have you on to talk about this, but also just the beef itself, the quality of it. Why is it different? And people, they go to the store, and I've heard the conversations. Well, where's the best? What's the best store to buy? Steaks. Where's the best place to get it? And I've just learned a lot about your farm and the differences, if you will. So will you explain to people who are used to looking in the grocery store at the different steaks and looking for the highest quality ones, the difference between what you all have versus what somebody's going to find in the grocery store?
Right, Nick. Well, that is a very good question again. So it is very hard to compare grocery store meat to our meat. And I'm not very comfortable doing that. I'm not 100% aware where all of that meat comes from. Are you?
No.
Right.
I assume it's far away, oftentimes some giant facility.
Right. Well, and that may be the case. And so there's a lot of good marketing out there as well. And what everybody needs to be aware of for sure is that good marketing doesn't always make it a good quality product. Right. What makes our beef have really good high quality is our grain finishing.
Now, explain what that means when you say finishing.
So when an animal is grain finished, it's really an intense process, and there's lots of steps in the grain finishing process. Starting at 800 pounds is when the cattle go on grain.
Okay.
Before that, they're weaned at 600 pounds, pulled off their mamas, and then they go on a high protein hay and grass, preferably. And we get them to 800 pounds, and then we start at 800 pounds by feeding them grain. And then every 10 days, it's a bump up of grain. We bump them up to eventually where they're eating 30 pounds of grain a day. So, and we do that for 200 days.
Okay.
And another thing that makes us great is we're antibiotic and hormone free. And so that means a lot, and that's hard to find at the store. Mm-hmm. Most of the time that is unavailable to find at the store. You can find it at some places, but we have it. It's really hard to find grain finished beef that is antibiotic and hormone free, especially when you can buy it, in half or whole form. And our cattle are pasture centered, so there's no dry lot in the situation. So they have access to go out in the pasture. They lay down, and
they're happy.
Exactly, they're very happy, and they're not, locked in a mud hole. And
Right.
that's also very important because the way the animal acts, how its well-being is, and whether it's stressed out or not, really does reflect the meat.
So that does make a difference, because I remember there was this battle years ago. I think it was a legal battle between California and Wisconsin. And one of the two states, they really advertised, we have happy cows. I think it was dairy. And so there was a legal battle over whether they could actually claim that. And I think a lot of people just, you mentioned marketing, think, well, that's just marketing. But that does make a difference in the quality of beef.
Correct. Yes, for sure. And we've spent many years, breeding cattle. Quality isn't something that develops overnight, Nick. And I think everybody is aware of that for sure. And we've kept really good records on each individual animal throughout this whole process of we've been improving our herd genetics. Year after year, we spent many years raising a set of mama calves that's mama cows that produce the best of the best calves each year. And so we've done that through bull selection and EPDs, and then also all of our cattle that we have processed, we get our carcass data reports back on.
Okay.
So that makes it very nice. So then, if we get one that doesn't grade exceptionally well, then we can trace that clear back to their mama, that calf, and then we can call that cow.
Okay. So you are all the way from beginning to end. You're making sure that the product is quality.
Absolutely, Nick. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned the grain-fed component to this, and again, marketing is so important. Oftentimes, and misleading. And I've always heard some people like, oh, grass-fed. You'll even see it on the labeling oftentimes, presented in a way that's braggadocious, like, oh, well, that means that it's automatically good. What is the difference between grass-fed and grain-fed? I mean, I know what it means, but the outcome, I
right.
suppose.
Well, I'm going to be careful not to, knock the grass-fed beef, because that is definitely something, there's something for everybody. Mm-hmm. But there is a huge difference in the two. With grass-fed, you get maybe a little bit more leaner, meat. Mm-hmm. And with the grain finish, you're going to have lots of marbling. Okay. And marbling makes it, really tender, and then juicy, and just all the good things that come along with marbling. It's just a very impressive piece of meat. And the texture of it it plays a big part in the quality as well that you get from the grain finished.
We're talking with Wyatt Dill of 2RD Beef, new partners with us here, and the reason I had him on is because as we got together on a couple of occasions and we're brainstorming ways to best communicate to all of you what it is that they do and the differences between this and buying beef in the grocery store. I thought, you know what, we just need to have you on the show as a launch for our partnership. We're going to get a traffic update, and then we're actually going to, on the Facebook Live feed, give people some visuals so they can see what you have. And then also, I know you all focus on half cows, whole cows. A lot of people may wonder, well, how much room does that actually take? How does that come? Am I going to have half a cow like sawed down the middle, frozen, sent to my home? And while a lot of people know, obviously, that, some don't. So we'll talk about that also as we continue on here. 2RD Beef, it is Wyatt Dill with us this morning. Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed. Wyatt Dill is with us from 2RD Beef, new partners here on the station. We've been looking for a long while to find a producer of beef for you all that I think fits your lifestyle. We like to get those good partnerships going. And after a long search, we did find it with 2RD Beef. And because there are a lot of aspects and components that I learned as we're talking about the ad campaign and everything, that I thought we just need to do a segment on this as an introduction. So Wyatt has been kind enough to come in on this, and I wanted to, for those watching on Facebook Live, or if you're listening now, you're going to go back and watch on Facebook Live. I'm going to hold up here. I'm a little delayed over on my end, so hopefully this is showing. Just to give people, now what is it we're looking at here? We've got a ribeye.
That's a bone-in ribeye.
And this marbling that you spoke of, that's one of the differences between grass and grain-fed. You all do the grain feeding, is you get more of that marbling.
Correct, yes.
And then we've got here the KC strip steak, which, of course has traditionally. But even, I mean, this still has a tremendous amount of marbling compared to what I think you would normally see.
Yes, it does. Correct.
All right, now people they want to buy it. A lot of folks are traditionally accustomed to going to the store. Oh, we're going to have steak night. Pick out a couple of steaks. They hear people buying half a cow or a whole cow. What if somebody wants to do that? How much room do they need to store it?
Well, so approximately for a half a beef, Nick, you're going to need about an 8 cubic foot freezer,
Okay.
and that's gonna cover half a beef.
Okay.
And then you would just for a whole beef, it would be 16 cubic feet for a freezer for a whole beef, and then I think ours is 19 or 21 cubic feet, and we have no problem fitting a whole beef in there. But we also have room for other stuff as well. So I kind of like that extra space.
Like popsicles and ice cream.
Right, absolutely. I think I may have a tub of Neapolitan ice cream in my freezer as well.
You have to dig around a little bit.
Exactly.
To get it.
Yep, and some frozen vegetables and whatnot. So anyway, when you order a half a beef from us, we are going to go out and hand pick that beef for you. On our website, we have an option on our cut sheet for you to pick what size beef you would like. We have all the way from 1,000 pounds clear to 1,250 pounds. So we have a pen of a field of finished cattle that we will go out and select one that best fits your family's needs. And really, this service isn't really available anywhere else, and you're not going to find this in a store, obviously.
Right.
Something like this, and our long-term goal is to build relationships with people that are wanting quality beef in their freezer, and we want to be their supplier year after year.
You've got around 500 head, right? Is that correct?
Correctly. We have approximately 500 head of feeders, on feed. Our numbers are down just a little bit right now. And we're going into, we've been selling quite a few fats. So this past spring is when our inventory was the highest, and then we've been selling several. So, we're down, 100, 200 now,
Got it.
So all of our beef, this round that we're in right now should be sold by the end of October because, time is very critical when you're finishing fats. You can overfinish one to where there's too much fat, but then, when they're ready to be processed, they're ready to be processed. There's not much time to mess around with.
Like baking a cake.
Exactly.
When it's done, it's done.
When it's done, it's done. You got it, Nick. Just like that.
All right. Now, people, like, if they wanted to right now, they're like, yeah, I want to pull the trigger on this, and we'll give the website here in a moment where they can go do that. But maybe somebody is like, well, gosh, we don't have a freezer right now, but they do want to take advantage of this. Do you allow for people to sort of put on layaway, if you will, for lack of a better term, or purchase for something down the road?
Absolutely, Nick. We're willing to work with whatever works best for the customer.
Okay.
We're very flexible on what we can do. We want to be very custom about this. And so we're actually taking payments. So if you don't have the money up front now, you can make payments on a beef, and then in 6 months you can basically be buying the beef as it's growing. You see what I mean? So you can own the beef.
And that's not beef that you've already processed and it's sitting in a freezer. These are still in the process of. I mean, they're on the farm.
Right. So say you want one that's going to be ready in 6 months. Then we would get one. You would buy a beef that's weighing about whatever in target weight you would want. Say you want 1,200 pound in weight. That's the live weight of the beef that you want processed to go in your freezer. Then you would buy one, that's 800-900 pounds, and then for 6 months we would feed that beef.
And that's all covered in the cost.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, we're going to take one last quick break here, and then we'll give out the website, and then just from a cultural standpoint, as it seems like these farms are fewer and fewer, and as you mentioned, there's not really anyone else around the area to this degree that in which people in the area can do this and purchase in this fashion. Why it is that you all continue to do this while so many others don't, as we continue on this morning with Wyatt Dill, 2 Bar D Beef, Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed. The last couple of minutes we have here, 2-Bar D Beef, Wyatt Dill with us. Why do this? It seems like, there's almost a romanticism to having the ranch, the farm, the cattle, but it seems as if it's also mass manufactured. If anything, the whole supply chain thing showed us this as grocery stores dried up. Why are you all still in this?
Well, Nick, great question. Once again, we've been in the cattle industry for 5 generations, Nick. The original farm that we still farm on today was purchased way back in 1820. So that's over 2 centuries ago. So that's really pretty impressive. The ways of the old ways of doing thing on the farm, they've changed. They're long gone. Back in 1820 they farmed to just sustain their family. And then it's progressed into dairy after that, and then on to beef production, after the sellout in the 90s. So we've had to make changes along the way to keep our farm going. My generation, a lot of my generation is forced to leave the farm, because there's not enough income to sustain 2 families anymore. The corporal farms and the factory farms, they're moving in slowly on kind of shutting down the local farms. So we're battling that, and we don't have control over our feed or our fuel. Everybody knows the fuel situation that's going on, and everybody's battling the same situation there. But our feed has doubled, since this whole deal, and the crisis in Ukraine that's been going on, that has impacted our fertilizer. Our fertilizer has went up, 3 times as much. Wow. But we're still trying to keep our beef affordable, and we want to stay positive. But everybody needs to keep in mind that there are a lot of things that factor our price of beef. We don't make that much income off of one beef. There's the price is expensive, but there's a lot of input cost in quality grain finished beef.
There are a number of farmers markets. We've got about a minute left here. You guys do a farmers market. When and where?
Yeah, so we do a farmers market on Saturdays from 8 to noon, in the Greater Springfield Farmers Market.
Got it.
is the name of it, and it's at the Battlefield Mall.
All right. And then the website is 2bardbeef.com. We'll get it up on our social media as well, so people can contact you that way. And I would encourage all of you, if this is the first time, this is going to be a quality that you're unaccustomed to. And if you're like, I don't really even know what to ask for necessarily, because there's, custom cutting up and everything, just let them know when you contact them, hey, this is my first time, kind of walk me through it, and they'll do a tremendous job of it. We're so glad to have you guys on as partners. Thank you so much for coming in and getting into some details on this. Wyatt Dill of 2-Bar D Beef, and again, we'll get that up on KSGF.com as well. Thank you, sir.